Hey everyone, this is Kellyanne and I'm here with Mandy.
Hi.
She and I are talking via Skype. She couldn't make it to my house today, so she is here on the left, or maybe it's your right. I think it's your left. And I'm on the top, and this little white screen up here is what she sees on her desktop, and I am screen sharing, so she sees everything that's on mine, just so you kind of see the layout of our conversation here. So I just put together some bullet points of what we're going to talk about today. So to begin, I have our 3 learning targets for our conversation. I can explain how Common Core standards were created, I can summarize the purpose of Common Core standards, and then I can defend why Common Core benefits the overall academic mastery of students. So those are the 3 key points I'm going to try to quickly summarize in a conversation. So to begin, Mandy, can you tell me what your thoughts are on Common Core? Do you know anything about Common Core?
Um, Not really. You know, you see those Facebook videos coming up where I saw them a lot more like last year and such, but as far as me personally, I don't have any kids and I don't work in schools, so no, I don't know anything about Common Core. So,
All right. Well, I know that you have experience managing restaurants and you're hiring younger employees, and I know just based on previous conversations, you've had some very interesting learning opportunities, or I guess I should say leadership opportunities that you had with them,
yes,
as
yes.
well as you are working with your nephew right now. He's beginning summer school,
Hmm.
so I know he's staying with you, so he is struggling with math mostly. So I know that you're helping him with that. So to delve into the purpose of Common Core, I am going to actually start out with your work experience, just so it kind of matches our bullet points a little bit better now that I'm thinking about it. Um, so in your work experience, can you briefly just summarize maybe some of the challenges that you have faced with hiring younger employees?
Um, you know, the biggest issue that I have, if you're dealing with with a cash till, or you're asking to do, deal with anyone who is saying, "Hey, what do I do about this?" They're always going to turn and ask you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I would think the biggest challenge for me specifically is the cash handling. Um, giving somebody a set amount of money and they cannot make change. They can't make 80 cents change from a dollar. It's like when you hire someone, and actually, 2 of the restaurants that I've worked at, your first day, there's a video on, you know, how quarters equal 2 quarters equal 50 cents, and,
Wow.
subtracting that from a dollar. And even after that, kids are usually like, "What? I had no idea it would be so easy." But if you say if it's 75 cents and you say, and a quarter makes a dollar, and it
Right.
just, they cannot grasp that. So,
That totally blows my mind because that's between learning the names of the different coins and the value behind them. I mean, they work through that starting in kindergarten.
right. But it's less about what they know, because, with all the different types of coins and such,
Well, right. And moving
I
on
mean,
to,
the different versions of
right,
coins, even. So there's
right,
like 6 different ways a quarter could look,
right.
and they go through all of that. So,
So you're having to reteach money handling, like just basic
what quarters
subtraction
look
and
like.
addition of
Yeah.
the various
Yeah.
coin
Adding
values.
that together, yeah.
Whew, you're almost a
What
teacher.
No.
No. Well, your that experience that you've probably handled with a little bit of frustration, um, actually has been a pretty prominent issue across the United States. Employers have really had trouble with younger generations being hired in and lacking those basic number sense and understanding why adding one more quarter to 75 cents equals $1. They don't understand. They don't understand why that is. And so Common Core, that's what really fueled the creation of Common Core, was to embed those skills in number fluency. So not just understanding how I add, but understanding this is why I'm adding. This is why the number gets bigger, the number gets smaller, using place value or the coin values. Understanding base 10, which is what our monetary system is based in. So all of those different skills of application and the critical thinking is the purpose behind the creation of Common Core. So moving on from that, just to briefly go over the history of Common Core, that need of those standards for skill application started in 2008 when data was kind of assessed and we saw the need for those skills to be addressed a lot earlier in students' education. So it's progressed now through various stages of creation, revision, implementation, revision, and now, right now, the United States, 42 of the states have adopted Common Core. It is right now an option since the states choose their standards. But Georgia, where we live, is currently, they have adopted Common Core, and we do use that in our curriculum. And going off of that, you are working with your nephew, which we mentioned. Saw some hesitation there. Mandy's nephew, Christopher, he is in 3rd grade, going into 4th. No, he's repeating 3rd grade at another school.
Right.
Because of the private school to public school transition, he is being placed back into 3rd grade.
Right.
Okay. So right now, Mandy reached out to me and she said, please help me. I don't know how to help him get started. So I actually set up account on Khan Academy. Christopher's very into gaming, so Khan Academy was right up his alley. And Mandy, what have you noticed so far? I know that you started working with him with the videos and stuff. What have you noticed the difference in math instruction from when you were in elementary and middle school to where he is now?
Well, one of the videos that he watched, it had they were adding hundreds, so 3 numbers on top of each other. Yeah. And so he's adding them, and he was just really frustrated. He couldn't figure out, because in the disconnect between the two of us was, carry the 1 over here, and he was like looking at me like I had an eyeball in the middle of my forehead. So he watched the video, and I started watching it with him, and it talked about what I was telling him about, and he was kind of a little bit more understanding. But then it took him to another part of the video, and it was talking about the value of each number. And it made it so much easier for him because he could take it in a chunk rather than either the whole thing or bit by bit. I don't know how to say it like that, but he understood all the numbers and then understood more how they went together.
Right.
And I was...
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was confused. So.
you were confused. That's not that's actually one of the downfall to Common Core, but also a benefit. I really love about Common Core is that it promotes the use of different strategies to solve a problem. That's one of the things that teachers love, and then that also comes with the con to where those strategies may not be as familiar to those of us that have already passed 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and then look at this like, what in the world are you doing? Right, but those strategies have a purpose. They're building that why instead of just the straight step 1 through 5. Here you go. Here's the answer. Now do it 25 times in a row. Odd numbers only. Don't look at the back of the book. Right, like we had to do in middle school. It's not like that so much now. They really focus on really ensuring that students are understanding why that is. So that's really the purpose of Common Core, is that they're building that number fluency, they're building that reading comprehension, which is super valuable for our students in the long run. When they go to graduate high school into college and graduate college into the workforce, they're really standing on a strong foundation of understanding of math and comprehension. So overall, the significance, we kind of talked about each one of these things, and I'm just going to go a little bit into, I'm going to skip, we've talked about learning targets, and just briefly, learning targets are a way that we present daily goals to students. So I'm a big fan of learning targets, and it just changes that standard. I don't know if you've ever looked at the state standards, but they can be a little lengthy, and they use a lot of very big words to summarize what the student needs to learn in a unit of math. Well, we definitely aren't going to read that very long standard to a third grader. They're going to look at you like you're speaking Chinese. So we put the standard in kid-friendly language. So the sentence that I have in black, if you can read it, says I can solve inequalities by using inverse operations. I teach 7th grade, so I try to use as much math vocabulary as possible. So a third grader may or may not recognize some of these words, but my 7th graders definitely would, because they're the vocabulary that they are learning. And the purpose of learning targets is just to introduce the concept so students know by the end of the lesson, what do I need to know how to do? So it kind of makes it a little more accessible. But what I want to go into is that you mentioned in the video that on Khan Academy that the video broke down the instruction into steps. And I don't know why this window isn't going to be bigger. There we go. And the steps are super important. That's called chunking in teacher language. And I use chunking all the time. It's very beneficial to all students, but it's also a form of differentiation. And what that means is you teach something one way, like how to add multi-digit numbers, so those hundreds numbers, by regrouping and carrying the one, like how we know how to do. But then a differentiation, a different strategy would be using visuals, using base 10 blocks that maybe that video had, I'm not sure. And really, Common Core lends itself to ensuring that different strategies are presented to solve the same problem. Which you said, actually, I think in our first take in the video, where when you were watching that Facebook video, you said, oh, that concept is so much easier, I wish I would have learned it that way.
Right.
And really, that is what we want to do for all students. So if you were to have a child now, and they're going into 3rd grade, how do you think you would feel about Common Core in the classroom?
I think that if it actually taught them to think about things from different angles all the time, I think it would really benefit them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you only know one way to do something, you only know one way to do something.
Right.
If any issue comes up, you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Right.
So I think it's cool. I think it's good.
All right.
No kids though. But okay.
No kids. I feel you. Okay. Well, that pretty much summarizes our discussion. We have about a minute left until my program runs out of time. Do you have any other questions or comments?
Not that I can think of. I do have a much better thought process of it now. It's something that I can actually be like, I'm really excited about Common Core. Not necessarily learning that way.
You want to go back to elementary school?
No. More thinking of it from a way of hey, you know what? I'm thinking about the future and hiring and seeing people in the workforce that don't need so much hand holding,
right.
Because it's a lot of work.
Right.
So that's something I'm excited to see.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. It was a great class. I enjoyed working with every one of you. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video now and end the torture for Mandy. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.